Good to go, Campbell. Here, where do you want me?
Mike, did I pick the right seat?
Yeah, can't see what's on.
Do you want me to go there or? Good to go, Campbell. Let's do that. Here, where do you want me?
Mike, did I pick the right seat?
Well, welcome to the Stanley Street Social Podcast presented by MAP. We're here for episode 2 of the Maillot Gawn with the big man himself, Max Gawn and Campbell Flakemore. Welcome, Campbell. Welcome, Max.
It's Alex.
Thanks, Alex.
What do you think of the name, Maillot Gawn? Were you happy with that?
There was some interesting
There were some
replies
good
on that Instagram. I'm glad we chose this one out of all of them. It's been a while between episodes, though.
Yeah, it
We've
has.
missed a whole season almost. We've missed the one-day classics.
Feels like we're going a long way back to Flanders and Roubaix, but I guess we'll touch there first, Alex.
Yeah, there has been a while, it seems like. I think back to Betty Old's ride at Flanders, it was ages ago. But yeah, we're going to kick things off in the Spring Classics, Cambo. Max, have you been following it?
I have. I've watched all 5. Some of them a little bit less than others. Later on, when Fuglsang won the last, what was that? That was
Liège, a couple of weeks ago, yeah.
That one was more of just watching the last 15k. But
Yep.
early on, via Paris-Roubaix, I was up watching the whole thing, which is the important thing.
Did you know Alberto Bettiol? Did you
No
know?
idea.
He was a bit of a surprise, wasn't he?
No idea. Education first was a surprise. I didn't know they had a strong team at all, let alone people that can win one-day classics. So, no, I didn't know Bettiol.
Just give us a bit of a hoist.
Cheers.
Yeah, but I guess that was a bit of a start for EF on their mission to actually riding as a team coming. I think we talked about it. We have done one unpack since Flanders, and they were like, they're actually on here. Like, they're actually delivering. They're actually animating a race. They're actually showing their presence. Unlike they kind of been in the past, kind of just filling in the gaps
Just a
a bit.
nothing team.
Yeah, a bit of a
Relatively
nothing.
boring
So
We might run a 10th to 15th, but
yeah, it was good to see. And
Which is slightly disappointing when you see their Giro team now as well, because it looks like they're going to have a pretty poor Giro.
But-
yeah, we'll get to that.
Just on him, it wasn't like it was a ride where he went early and stayed away. Like, he attacked on the Quaremont and went solo. He was the best rider. If you look at the results, you might think Bettiol as green, maybe it was like a bit of a breakaway that stayed away. He was the best rider there by a country mile.
They were the best team there.
Yeah.
They had 3 or 4 on that last climb that obviously Bettiol was the strongest and was telling people to get to the front, but it was amazing seeing that pink jumper lead Flanders towards the end of the tour, end of the race. It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Roubaix, the next weekend, never disappoints. It's the best race of the year.
I think it is.
It is the best race
I
of
think
the
we
year
talked about
every
this.
year.
I think we
We've
might have
talked
done
about
that.
it. It doesn't get any
Unpacked?
better. There's no, we're back for then.
Yeah.
And there's no other race of the year that you need to tune in from the word go. And it's the only one that kind of,
Yep.
I see justification for being that long
Yep.
versus, I haven't actually looked at the distances for the Giro, but I'm assuming there's a few doozy
There's
200.
a lot of
yeah.
230k stages, but
Is there-
Not for me.
no. Did you watch all
did.
of Roubaix
I
or
did
bits and pieces?
last 140, I
That's
think,
good.
which is probably the most of a stage I've watched in a long time.
Yeah.
I like Philippe Gilbert. I like what he brings. Obviously, keen supporter throughout BMC when he was there, and BMC has that Australian connection that you sort of were stuck watching him. You were never sure why he was in the team because he was never working for Richie, but
Just doing his own thing.
yeah, just doing his own thing. But I was a Sagan fan for that and wanted Sagan to put the haters away, but he tried. He definitely tried, and
It's probably his best performance of the year.
It's funny, but when he realised he couldn't make it, there wasn't much he was doing, was there? He wasn't
Yeah.
fighting for the minor podium
Yeah.
spots.
I guess when you win as much as he does,
Yeah,
second or
correct.
third isn't really
Yeah.
an option.
But yeah, Paris-Roubaix was great to watch.
And continue that trend. Sepp Van Mark in 4th. EF again.
Yeah,
Putting their hat in
round
the
the
ring.
mark.
It was good. Then on to the absolute doozy of the Spring Classics.
Yeah.
Amstel. Matthew Van der Poel just put on an absolute clinic.
Well, I think we tipped him as the winner, and then he attacked with about 50k to go, and I don't know, it was kind of a little bit stupid looking back, but it was a move that maybe you thought, well, we might catch people out, he might get a few other mates, and they might disappear. But it looked like he burned all his matches. He attacked. No one really went with him. He got brought back. And then when Alaphilippe and Fuglsang went, he was nowhere to be seen. And then it wasn't until the last couple of K that we saw probably the best finish of a bike race of all time. I'd almost go that far.
The whole, he's from Netherlands.
Yeah.
So to watch the crowd in that last kilometre go crazy makes you remember why you love cycling. Like that was, in the last 5K, I looked deep down, I didn't think it was over because I knew Fuglsang would pull Sonic. He's not going to go up against a sprint against Alaphilippe.
Yeah.
That would have been stupid. So deep down I thought Kwiatkowski would have been the one that would have come over the top. For these guys to come, I think they were a minute 10 back.
Yeah,
at one
with
stage.
about 5K to go.
Yeah, that's an amazing ride. And Simon Clark was able to sit there and imagine if he pipped him.
He's a smart rider, Simon Clark, isn't he?
He would have been booed out of Amstel if he pipped him
reckon.
on the line.
He's got to be the smartest rider in the peloton, I think.
Yeah.
Simon, to know just to stick on Van der Poel, yeah, you might not win, but you're gonna run a podium. And again, EF on the podium for the second time in the Classics. That's just goes to show that they're having a massive season.
Yeah, and I think as you point out too, Max, it'd be good to catch up with Simon just to see what it was like hanging on to Van der Poel's wheel.
Surely it wasn't as easy as it looked.
As he was turning the tables, bringing that break back by himself.
I think we had a question a couple of weeks ago, who's going to win the most Classics, Van der Poel or Van Aert? And I think from Amstel, we probably have that question answered that Van der Poel is the biggest talent of the last 10, 15 years. Probably as big a talent as what Sagan was at the same age.
And the amount of pressure that would have been on him to perform at Amstel.
He's national champion of Netherlands as well. Is he 23, 24, dabbles in road?
Dabbles. And that's the thing though. Like you think, dabbles in the road, superstar. Like Van Aert's really good, but like kind of is at that same level. And when you put it into a road scenario, probably doesn't quite pay off as good as he is.
And just a few days before, he won Brabant's Appeal as well against some other big names. So when he rides road, he wins.
And to be that good and just to be able to execute like he did, unbelievable. Julian Alaphilippe got rolled by him twice in a week.
What do you think of Alaphilippe's tactics there in the final? Do you think it was probably him that cocks it up?
I think he's got a ride.
I think he should have rolled the dice a little bit. Fuglsang's not the quickest bloke.
Even if he rode, he still beats him, doesn't he?
I would have thought so.
Yeah.
And it's not like he has to ride hard. Just ride hard enough to keep the others at bay, but don't give him too much of a lead out. And I think it probably was his cock up more so than anything. But it was good from Fuglsang because if he pulled, he was going to get dusted up in the sprint.
Himself a podium.
And he got the podium as well. So it worked perfect for Fuglsang. Yeah. So it's kind of good to see Quickstep miss out a little bit there.
On to Flesh. We saw the same duo doing their thing, Julian Alaphilippe and Jakob Fuglsang. It was kind of the story of the Classics, really. The two most dominant teams of the year and two most dominant riders probably of the Classics going head-to-head.
It's not the most exciting race Flesh were on. It's all about that last climb and it's midweek. Everyone's in between the two big ones. So I just watched the final. What about you?
I was literally... I looked at the results before I watched it as well. So that's how much interest I had in this. Which made it a little bit more boring to watch because those two were clearly dominating. And then when you realise that no one was going to come over the top of them.
Yeah.
But Alaphilippe, I know there's a lot of pressure for him to win all of them, but to still finish, to be in the finish in all the ones that he was in, it's still an amazing rider.
Do you reckon I think we had an article on this a couple of weeks ago, Josh wrote it. Do you reckon he's overtaken Sagan as the best rider in the world at the moment?
Just because he can get up the hill. Sagan can as well when he wants to. But Alaphilippe is in a lot more finishes than Sagan, which makes it...
For sure.
Which probably makes him slightly more valuable. But Sagan is probably better on a time trial, maybe.
Time trial and more genuine bunch sprints. So I guess it goes... There's pros and cons either way, but
I
think it's nice to have someone new. Yeah,
new. And also, the other two good things, him and Van der Poel have a character.
They do.
They're good personalities.
So does Sagan, to be fair.
That's what I mean. But is like the next crop coming through. It's like, it's not we've got Sagan, this huge personality, brings so much to the sport. And then we drop back down to some kind of talking all brick wall, boring bike riders. Like these guys are cool. So that's exciting for the sport too, moving forward.
Yep.
And then on the last one, Liège didn't disappoint. Looked absolutely filthy. Oh, yuck.
Not many races that you see rain the whole race. There might be bits and pieces, but this was rain, 6 hours, blokes finishing in leg warmers, a genuine battle of attrition. You see the results, and it's a bit of a wild kind of mix. You got Formulo and Schuckman, who are two young blokes from Bora, who just obviously popped up on the day, good in the bad weather. Michael Woods, one of the favourites here. He was seen wearing one leg warmer in the finish. What were your thoughts on that, Max?
A bit Nat Fife, isn't it?
It is a little bit,
Fife's
yeah.
got the
I think
the
there's something in it.
warmer.
What do you think on Fife, just quickly on that sleeve? Is it for his elbow, or is he just trying to be a baller?
I got no idea. Well, you can tape it, and still that'd be right for your elbow. So I think there is a little bit of baller in there. The Fife's one of the ones where he's a trendsetter, so I don't mind it. I don't mind people going against the rain a little bit, and I like Fife. So this is you do look at this top 10, and I remember watching this, and it gave you. We'll go on to Giro, but it just gave you some who's in form and who's not as well. And I'm a big fan of Bora, and I actually think they'll turn it on in the Giro. And Formulo's ride, and even Nibali's ride as well. Just some guys
you
that
can see
know have got
Nibali's
legs.
coming good.
Yeah.
But Fulsang, he got the chockies in the end, which was good to see because he's probably been one of the riders of the season. I would have thought him and Alaphilippe, tours, one-day races, they've been the best in the business. And he almost came unstuck on that downhill. Have you seen the clip?
Yeah.
Maybe 7K to go, gets sideways, doing about 60K an hour, held it up, and he managed to hang on. It was a new finish as well, Liège, which I don't know, I still think it would have been the same result if they went the old parkour, but new finish, and it's good to see Fulsang get the win, I think.
Yeah, I think he deserved it. He was thereabouts all spring.
Yep.
It would have been slightly disappointing for him not to take the chockies home. And then we're about to kick off the Grand Tour season with the Giro. It came around real quick.
There's not much of a rest between the classics and the tours, is
No.
It's a thing. I have a problem with it. Like I don't like how many races there are on and how.
You have a strong opinion on this, don't you?
I just
Alex?
don't
You
like.
like it.
Because you got to. Understandably, you're always going to have to maintain your form and then peak for certain times of the year. You can't be going all year, but just how hard the Giro is and how close it is to the Spring Classics kind of rules you out of doing both, really.
Yep.
But the Giro never disappoints.
I think it's probably the best Grand Tour of the year. I mean, the Tour was the Tour. The Vuelta's kind of at the back end of the year. People are chasing results, but the Giro, it's wild, isn't it?
If the riders come, which they have, well, it looks like they have this year, it really turns it on.
Yeah.
And I also like when there's more than one sprinter. I mean, was it last year where Gaviria, or was it the year before where he just turned it on and won about 6 or 7 stages?
Yeah, it's always got that point where it's like, all right, you can always see where all the sprinters pull out because it's like, well, unless you're going for the green jersey, why bother? Because you're just going to probably write your season off 1 and 2, probably not make it to the finish because it gets that grippy in the back half.
But there's about 5 or 6 teams that are big Pro Tour teams that only have sprinters. Really, they're only really going for the green jersey and maybe a couple of stage wins, which makes it a little bit more interesting.
It'll be interesting. Gaviria, surely he won't try and get to the finish.
Well, Caleb Ewan won't.
Yeah, I know Caleb
and
won't.
I imagine Gaviria is probably going to look towards the Tour de France as well. So, like you said before, there comes that point in the race where the sprinters, they knock off and get ready for the Tour. But for sure, Caleb Ewan is going to be one of them. Gaviria.
Ackerman. Pascal.
He's kind of that second tier, but he's knocking on the door of that top level.
He's a young boy. Arnaud Demar.
I think whoever Renshaw's riding for, what's his name? Giacomo Nizzolo.
Nizzolo, the king of the podiums at the Giro. I think he must have about 20 top 3s without a stage win.
And he's the kind of man on home turf that will go, all right, I'm just going to... This is my season. I'm getting through this Giro and I'm going to win the jersey here.
Yeah.
Because after that point where it goes uphill, pretty much the majority of his competition disappears. And for an Italian on home turf to be up on the podium at the end... 100%.
I'm sure
he has to go for it.
His mindset would be, I don't care who goes into the barriers in my path.
Yeah.
I'm going to do what it takes to get a win.
Some big, dirty, wet descents to get himself back in the bunch on the hilly days. I'm sure he'll be fighting for every single bit of it to get to the finish.
You want to talk about
Do you wanna-
stages or the
yeah.
riders first?
Maybe the stages, and then we'll go
Yeah.
into the riders as they come up.
So obviously, I've written down a few of the stages that are worth talking about. The first week, time trial, they start. Good for Tommy Dumoulin. Then some sprint intermediate days, but I've just noted that the distances on some of these stages in the first week: stage 2, 220k; stage 4, 235; stage 6, 238; stage 8, 239. That's stock standard Giro d'Italia, getting those Ks up. That just zaps the legs in the first week. There might not be a whole lot of climbing, but those long 6-7 hour days, they take the edge off you.
They would, and it shows how much a good team around you, especially early on, is going to matter. And the Giro can put up any sort of weather.
You're right.
Yeah.
So anything can happen in that first week, and they always say you can lose those tours in the first week. You can't win them. And
Yep, exactly.
to put some big 230k stages in the first week makes it very interesting.
And even on the other side, not just the leaders, but the leaders' support. There's a lot of young pups in there, and hitting these big days when I guess a lot of them will be there to support them in the third week. The likes of Lucas, Chris Hamilton, Jai Hindley, Rob Power, Sammy Uman's in there too. Like there's a lot of young guys that might be a little bit of a tipping point to determine how useful they are in the back end.
Then after that, they go into a TT, probably the first genuine decisive day of the tour, 35k, best part of. Tom Dumoulin, this is his time to take at least a minute on his rivals, I think.
Is he a minute better than Roglic on the time trial, Buff?
I'm probably saying more against the non-TTers.
Yeah, right.
I think Roglic will probably. I think he got a podium at the Worlds a couple of years ago, so he can TT. I think Dumoulin maybe 20, 25 seconds better, but
that's where they put away Nibali and Yates.
Yeah, but even Yates won the time trial in Paris-Nice
See
somehow.
that Nice? It's that Nice. We talked about that for a while.
We
That
did.
top
That
10
was
at
a
Nice was
bizarre
out of
top
control.
10.
Makes sense, did it?
It was like, what do you mean? So he must have been doing a bit of work over the summer, winter on the TT rig because that was good. And I think that definitely plays a factor in how his chances go at hitting the podium.
Stage 13, they finished at 2,300 metres, 196, mountaintop finish. And then I think stage 16 is probably the Queen stage, the Gavia, the Motorola, 226k. If you blow on the Gavia, you're going to lose 30 minutes. I think that this is a stage where if you're not good, your tour is done and dusted. And it's important to have teammates on such a long stage. Guys like Yates and Dumoulin are going to be relying on some young pups like you talked about. So I think stage 16, highlight that one. Watch that one if you're going to watch a stage. The Motorola is probably the most brutal climb in Grand Tour cycling. This is one to
And then
watch.
after the Gavia too.
Exactly.
And just a cheeky 226Ks just in case you wanted a few more clicks in the legs.
They haven't gone down
heading
the
into stage 16 as well.
when the tour went down those 90k stages for a little bit. The Giro haven't really done that.
Nah, they've gone, we'll just go the opposite.
Stick to the origins.
Which I kind of like, in a way. Like, just, if you're going to, not 180, 190, 230 mountain stage. Let's just, that's 7.5 hours right there.
But then also, we're not just connecting towns here. We're talking like they're hitting mountain passes. They're not just flatlands that sometimes, I guess the tour put one of them in last year. It was boring as, but yeah, it's just 226 Ks of riding your bike. So I think it's just what it is, though. It's just the Giro. It's big, it's filthy, it's hard. It's as hard as it gets, really.
And then the right back end, it's two mountaintop, or one mountaintop finish, 194k, 5 climbs on stage 20, stage 19 mountaintop finish, and then finishing with a 17k TT. So the good thing about the Giro is you can be 4-5 minutes down, stage 18, and still win. I think Nibali did it a couple of years ago. Just ran over the top of Chavez. So I think Nibali is someone to definitely look at because he's someone that gets better as a Grand Tour goes. Third week, he comes out and really gets stuck in.
If he's wearing the leader's jersey going into the last TT, he'll find something as well.
Yeah.
I always see Nibali can pull a TT out of nowhere if he needs to. So I don't think that last time trial will worry him. And 17 kilometres, you can't put too much
exactly
time gap into people. So If he's thereabouts in that last couple of stages, he's going to be very interesting.
And on home turf.
Home turf.
I think that goes, especially for the Italians.
He's got a strong team as well.
Good
Caruso and
team.
Pozzovivo.
Home turf. He was good at, what's that race in France that was on last week?
But
He's been good. Cut that out. He's been good heading up to it. And I think, the Italian will definitely show his stripes.
and he's sort of coming to the end of his window as a big winner, I think. So maybe this could be his last chance.
The race that Froome went to as well. The Tour of the Alps.
Yeah, Tour of the Alps.
Yes.
Tour of the Alps,
We
Hard
don't,
one to
which
remember
was not
too.
in France.
We
That's
don't-
why I
Yeah.
didn't know which one it was.
we don't have to cut it out anymore.
Okay. Should we run through the teams?
Yeah, I think yes.
Team Movie Star.
We'll just go one through. Just
Okay,
have a
we'll
quick
just go
talk.
through. Team Movie Star. I guess Carapaz. It was the Giro last year that he
Fourth, I think, on the
that
general.
he jumped onto the scene as like, Movie Star. I've just got another talented climber, and then him along with Lander should definitely put in a show. And I guess those two are the guys that when Roglic and Dumoulin are going full noise on the TT rig might come into a little bit of strife, but
A little bit. They're always a team that's dangerous in a Grand Tour,
Yep.
Movie Star. You just know that they're going to have a few blokes. You know, probably Antonio Pedrero will pop up and be the best rider of the tour, exactly what Carapaz did last year.
Yep.
So you never know.
I had them both hovering around my top 10, around that 10 mark though. So they're not going to be threatening the top 5, I don't think. But they'll win stages and they'll be right
Yep.
amongst it. They're a quality team. Sorry, can't call them sides, can you?
nah.
you can't-
You can't
Sides.
go on the side. They're a good
They're a
side.
good side.
Stana, the man, number 31. Lopez is kind of
I just reckon they're the strongest team. They have Bilbao, Jan Hurt, who performed well at the Tour of Alps, Ion Izagirre, and Andre Zeitz, who can all climb. So,
and they're winning bike races.
Correct. Yeah.
There's good energy in
Good
the
energy.
gym.
yeah.
Do you have Lopez on your podium?
I have Lopez. Where's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah, okay.
7th.
Any reason why he's not higher on that list?
Only because I don't know. Do I call it Team Ineos? Is that what I'm saying?
Yeah, we've got to start calling it that now.
Well, that's what it is.
Team
Yeah.
Ineos. I've got Gegenhardt beating him, but only
Really?
yeah. But Gegenhardt.
Big Gegenhardt
Jeez.
fan here.
He's unproven over any sort of longer than 1 week.
but he looked good at the Alps, didn't he?
he did,
He
he
looked
did.
super comfortable.
I mean, the young Russian fella won it, but Gegenhardt was the rider of
Yeah.
that tour for me. So that's the only reason why Lopez is down. And also because they got so many riders, they might go for a couple of different things.
I wonder if Davide Viella will grab Caleb and throw him into a wall again, Alex.
When we're racing under 23s, Davide grabbed Caleb by the helmet and threw him into a
Oh, really?
concrete wall.
Right.
And, well, you don't have to be that big to be bigger than Caleb, but this big boy just grabbed him, push.
Who's Caleb?
He was the king of the kids,
He
wasn't he?
was a big man. Bora.
Micah,
I guess-
Micah always good for a 5th to 10th and
Yeah.
win a stage or two and maybe a Mountains jersey.
Yeah.
So my gamble responsibly, but my bet of the Giro is Formolo to beat Micah. So I
Just in a
reckon,
genuine head-to-head.
and then Formolo, and then obviously Bora will be in one of those. The one that wins out of those two will be around the top 5 mark.
Yep.
So Formolo was really good for the classics. I'm not sure what sort of form that leads in to a Giro, but I liked him. I like Patrick Conrad, who's not there, but they're two guys that I really enjoy watching.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Not
No.
as strong of a team as I thought they'd bring in, but it seems to be depends how much they put into Ackerman early.
Surprised they've gone Ackerman over Bennett.
Well, Bennett was so good last year.
I almost think Bennett's been the best sprinter of the season.
Yeah, he has.
And his Giro last year.
And he's not doing the Tour de France either.
He's not?
Been he's been completely snubbed. He might get a late in with his super performance, but
Training for the Volta real early.
yeah, but if you've got a sprinter that's in that sort of form, who's been dusting up guys like Caleb,
That's
he's
weird.
unlucky to miss out, I would have thought.
They're all in for Formula and Micah.
I just made the
Yeah.
assumption that he was doing the tour. That's why he's not here. Okay. EF, we were pumping up their tyres a bit
We
before
have.
about the teams that they've been throwing at these races and how they've been racing it and really showing their presence. But
Well,
I don't
I
know
typed
It's a
about.
bit underwhelming.
I don't know
It's
about
a bit
this one.
underwhelming.
I typed in their team leader, Sasha Mulder, because I don't know much about him, and he hasn't done anything since 2010 almost, so I'm not sure what they're bringing.
He's one of those second-tier sprinters, isn't he?
But Kangan and Carthy can climb at
Yeah.
times. I don't know what they're going to bring. I did see Rigoberto Urán is back on his bike, though, so not
He's
sure what
just
he's
always in
targeting
Colombia
soon.
doing something and doing these stupid Instagram videos. Not sure how much he actually trains. But Kangert, he was good in sort of 2013, 14 for Astana. I'm not sure whether he still has the legs. I didn't even know he was at EF until there was a race a couple of weeks ago and I saw him. Joe Dombrowski, he was a teenage prodigy. Kind of hasn't done a whole
Superstar
lot.
is on 23. Hugh Carthy.
It's
Okay,
interesting
go-
one. I'm sure
go
they'll
for
pop
it.
up. Good,
Go
like you
for
said
it.
before, good energy. They might pop up somewhere along the line.
Lotus Sedal, Mr. Ewan at the top of the list, and looks like a pretty stacked squad for him.
It's all for him,
It's
isn't
all
it?
for him.
It's all in for Caleb and maybe Campanets for one of the time trials.
Yeah,
And De Gent will obviously
he'll pop up.
probably be wearing the Guernsey for 2 weeks.
Yeah, yeah.
But those are the three.
This is important though for Caleb. I think he's been good this year, but he hasn't been unbelievable, and he's just been calling since he started really at Mitchelton Scott for a team that's for him. No second options.
And that's exactly what he's
And
got
this
here.
is what he's got here. So even though I guess the tour is still the main goal, he's not going to get through the whole Giro, but he'd want to execute on at least one.
Yeah,
Don't underestimate how important those Turkey wins would have been for him.
Yeah.
good for the confidence.
Yeah. Against good riders.
Yeah. But he's someone that loves I've said this before, he loves putting pressure on himself, doesn't he? He's gone to a new team. He said he wants to do this, he wants to do that. I want a team. You got Campenarts, De Boist, De Gent, Adam Hansen, and Roger Klug helping you in the lead out. That's as good as you're going to get.
horsepower.
That's almost circa 2010 Team High Road quality lead out.
Yeah.
So, all the best.
I think he's going to have the better lead out of the sprinters. It's just how well he goes from there.
Yeah.
Nippo,
Can't help you.
probably
Yeah.
one. Probably one for Tom's continental breakfast.
Yeah, skip over that one.
They'll be in the first week breakaways, I
Yeah.
Team Katusha, Zacharin, who knows?
think. Who actually has been slightly impressive.
Have you got him in your notes there
Yeah,
anywhere?
but he's
for a
right
fifth-
down the bottom because I've backed him before and he's let me down. So he's right down the bottom.
A 5th to 10th
Yeah.
on the GC, maybe a stage if he slips out of the GC.
Funny team, that one.
It is.
It's a funny
we know
team.
that.
Zacharin kind of is kind of the perfect example of what that team is like, just all over the place. One day it'll be unbelievable, the next he'll be absolutely rubbish.
Yep.
UAE Emirates, Gaviria.
Gaviria and then Conti and Diego Ulysses will
Ulysses,
obviously
yep.
do something at some point.
Yep.
But that's all about Gaviria early.
And he's a crafty rider, so it'll be interesting to see how he goes versus Caleb, who's got a genuine lead out, how those two play out, and big competitors heading into the tour.
I think Tom Bowley will also be around the mark in that first TT. He was second at Romandy Prologue. So, got a track background, pretty powerful young rider. So, Tom Bowley around the mark in
Did
that
you used to
first.
clean him up, though?
I don't know whether
Pretty sure he did.
Yeah,
You
maybe.
remember.
Yeah, he does remember.
I think
Come
he
on,
might have
Kel.
been a little bit younger.
AG Tour, La Mondiale.
bit underwhelming,
Very
Yeah.
underwhelming.
truth be
team.
told.
Gallopin will do something on some
Yeah.
stage and everyone will go, geez, he's a good rider. Hubert Dupont, is that how the
It
pronunciation?
looks like it, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen his name pop in on a hill, so
Okay.
that's all I know about
Yep.
him.
I've also seen Nico Denz go for a breakaway as well, a strong kind of ruler who might pop up. And the Giro is the sort of race where you can win a lot of stages from those breakaways. So
Yep.
I think a stage win for them would be a good result.
Bahrain, Marito, we talked about
We
Nibali
did.
before. I think that
Just the
paints
team,
the picture.
The team he's got around him is as strong as Nibali's had.
good.
Got his brother there.
Pozzovivo should be all in for him. I don't think Pozzovivo will go for any sort of glory himself. Caruso, who almost led BMC once Port was out,
Yep.
seemed capable. It's interesting.
He's the sort of rider that'll be there when there's 15 guys, 10 guys. Caruso will still be there. And he's got his brother Antonio Nibali there just for some morale, I guess, on the team bus. That's about his role, I would have thought.
Well, post the first hill at every stage, I don't think we'll be seeing too much of him.
My most picked on team of the year,
I agree.
CCC. What is
What a
going
team!
on here?
What a team that they've put in for the all in for Lawrence 10 Dam.
Oh, to run a 12 or a 13.
Oh, no.
It's yucky, isn't it?
It's terrible.
It's disgusting. They got Marejko, who I think he didn't make it through Tour of the Alps. I think he got DQ'd outside the time limit. He's their sprinter. He's quick. He's lightning quick. So I think that's probably their best hope. But besides that, boys, it's pretty underwhelming.
Slim pickings.
Exactly what you said. All in for 10 Dam. That
I've
says
got
it
in
all.
my notes. I've got about 20 guys GC and 10 Dam's nowhere near it. So
Group Palmer FDJ.
looks all in for Arnaud Demar, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
it looks all in for Arnaud Demar. Mills is in there.
Miles, yeah. Not too much to talk about there. Next.
My team of 2018.
Yeah, Max's favourite and an in-house favourite team, Jumbo Visma. All in for Roglic, and why not? He's been super.
Best one week rider in the world at the moment, I think. Would you agree?
I agree. And you've got to take his tour form into it.
You do.
You've got to see how strong he was over 3 weeks there. They're still not sure on him because sometimes Kruijswijk's their team leader and they're unsure who's better.
Yeah.
Which concerns me because obviously they got their own doubts
short,
on Roglic.
Maybe a little bit like front end of last year, but after what he's done, he's got to pick the man.
He's also
now.
got quite a young domestique in Bowman, so it'll be interesting.
And also Lawrence de Plus, who's young.
Good.
And Sepp Kuss, who broke onto the scene last year in America. Another one of these American riders who does well in America and struggles a little bit in Europe, but we know we can climb, so hopefully he can help out well. But I think it's probably a good thing to see Kruijswijk not on the team sheet.
Yep.
Clear direction.
Not going to be worried about him going rogue in the last week. So what have you got him down as? Have you got him as the winner?
I'll ask a question before I ask. Can he go with a Yates and a Dumoulin up the stage 19 mountaintop finish?
He can't drop them, but I think he can, if he's good for the full 3 weeks, definitely for a week and a half, too. That third week, when they're going rogue on that stage, it was 226k with 2 mountain passes. Like, that's when I think he'll be tested. But then when you put him against the clock, he's good.
But he was good in the third week last year, though.
Yeah, he was. I'll be supporting him, but I'm not sure if I'll be backing him because he's favourite currently.
Is he?
Yeah.
Genuine favourite.
After what he's just done at the
Romandy. Yeah. I'd love to see him win.
Yeah,
for me.
it would be good to win.
Course.
10 dimension data. Yeah. Ben O'Connor was really good last year.
What's happened?
Since then?
Yeah. Is he just not in form
I think it was for the Giro last year, and
crashed on stage 18 or something. He was in the top 10.
He was really around the mark. So put out a tweet this week. I saw it's like unfinished business with his Giro lineup. So
it's good signs.
It looks like he's almost the best climber on their team.
Scott Davies is handy in the mountains.
They've got a pretty good sprinter, so I reckon they'll be all in for him early.
Giacomo. Yep. Ryan Gibbons as well for a top 5 somewhere along the line. Hopefully he can get that big breakthrough win.
Team Sunweb. It's a good squad.
It's a young squad. It's a super young squad. I guess is the
concern that you put around the support for Dumoulin.
Bit of a red flag for mine. If you've got a GC genuine contender and you've got Chris Hamilton, Jai Hindley, Sam Oomen, Rob Power and Vivaka. I think Lewis Vivaka's 26 or 27, so he's probably getting into that experience kind of level, but a lot of young boys there for someone who's gone for the general.
He'd have a fair bit of say, Dumoulin, in the team that he wanted.
Yep.
So I'd say he'd have a fair bit of confidence in majority of them. I'm pretty sure Sam Oomen was there last year with him.
He's good.
And doing majority of the work for him, so...
And Jai showed his ability to get through Grand Tour, the Vuelta last year.
Yep.
And he's got that the teammate from the other team, Bob Jungles, who'll probably come in and help him at some point. They helped each other through the whole Giro last year, didn't they?
Rob Power making his Grand Tour debut.
Which we love.
They've been up in the Alps together, apparently. So
Him and Tommy D.
Yeah, doing a bit of altitude over the winter. Rob didn't come home this summer. So it'll be
Means
interesting to
business
see.
when you don't come home.
Yeah, it means business when you're sticking it out through the winter months. So I'm excited to see how he goes. On to Tom's favourite.
Androni.
If you missed it, he covered this probably 3 podcasts ago now in the Continental Breakfast, where he runs through a Continental team, gives us an insight into who they are. He described them as the NASCAR racing team of cycling, Androni, and then also the talent scouts for Colombia, really.
This is actually a good team. They had their Tour of Alps.
They won 2 stages.
And Cantor, again, my pronunciation, but Cantonillo and Masnada were the 2. They're going to do something again, 100%.
Yeah.
They could even, like Cantonillo, what I saw of him in the Alps, he could hold on to a top 10 as well.
You think a stage win would probably be the minimum
Stage
for them?
thing, yeah.
Minimum requirement for a pass?
They've also got a Colombian in there, so I'm sure he's good.
A token Colombian.
Well, they'd have to have one, yeah. 10-year contract bought out by, now Team Ineos for $6 million in a couple of years. And
7 Italians and a Colombian.
Yeah, they'll be cashing their checks. Bardiani.
They got Manuel Senni. He was he rode for BMC a couple of years ago. Didn't quite, find a spot there. Can climb well. But again, I think the same sort of story, that stage win somewhere along the line is what they'll be looking for, and that's a pass.
They still look better than CCC, don't they?
They do. They do that.
Nice little jab at CCC.
Yeah. Kenny Quick Step. Viviani. His hometown man.
Yep.
Well, it's a Viviani and Youngles show.
And then it's got your disappointment. But he's been good since you ripped him in the first podcast. Bob Youngles. He's put his hat in the ring for kind of just muscling his way over some big climbs in the Giro.
He had a good Giro last year. Good. Disappointing, but good.
And something to note here, he skipped Liège as the defending champion to get ready for the Giro. So he obviously means business here. Again, I just see him in that 5 to 10. He's not a genuine climber. He's a diesel. He'll time trial well. He won't get caught out in the first week. Any sort of wet, filthy conditions, he'll be there. But I just don't see him cracking that top 5. But we'll see.
He finally can't win a young jersey anymore.
He's out of that category. What have you got him down there on your GC?
He's sitting behind Lander and Lopez.
Yep, I
so
think that's about
behind
right.
the really good climbers.
Yep.
They'll get some time on him there, and I don't reckon he'll get that back.
I agree.
Israel Cycling Academy.
Strong team, aren't they?
Very
Israel Cycling Academy.
It's a bit Maillot Gawn, isn't it?
Yeah.
Nathan Earl said he was probably a good chance. And he was as fit as I've ever seen him until he snapped his leg in GP in Giro, which is a big disappointment for Nathan. So he probably would have been on that start list. But looking at it,
it's good to see they're giving a lot of the Israel guys a start. One Israel cyclist has been named.
But it's like Italian, Swedish, Canadian, Irish, Austrian, I think, Spanish, Israeli, and Italian. It's just a bit of a mix of everything, isn't it?
Be an interesting team bus, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I wonder what the morale is there.
Yeah.
Whether the Irish and the Israeli get on.
Talking world politics now.
Mitchelton Scott. S. Yates. He's back.
I like this team. I really like it.
It's got everything you need, really. He's got Esteban as potentially another option.
Yeah.
We don't really know how Esteban... He hasn't been super, but he's still there.
You think he probably wouldn't have got named if he wasn't going to be helpful.
Correct.
So I think we can take some confidence out of that. Brent Bookwalder, super experienced. He'll be a good help. Jack Bauer, Luke Durbridge, and Jules Jensen.
Bit of horsepower.
For the flats, good horsepower. Durbridge doing his first Giro since I think about 2013.
Bauer the only Kiwi? I think you might be.
Bauer the only Kiwi. He's a big, strong rider.
He is.
I really like Jack Bauer. And then Nive and Lucas Hamilton for the climbs. And obviously a lot of confidence being installed in Lucas. He's had probably one of the better seasons for Mitchell and Scott in terms of consistency, winning races. So he's been given the spot, which is great. And it won't be the tour for Lucas to just get the experience. He's going to be there having a big job.
I wonder how they hold the jersey if they get it. I don't think they will because the time trials are quite early, so I don't think he can get the jersey, but I don't think they're a strong enough team to potentially ride tempo in the mountains late on.
I agree.
It seems like he'd rather have Lucas and just himself up there and ride tactically. So it'll be interesting. I reckon that they almost don't want the jersey till the last day.
Yeah.
It's a similar note too for Sunweb. Like they don't have Durbridge and like big men to kind of turbo on the front when Dumoulin cleans up this first prologue and goes well on the time trial, and he's still stuck with the jersey. Like
you kind of look at those older teams like Movistar, Astana, and Bahrain are the ones that just have that. I don't know. Just feel like they can control the race.
If Astana get the jersey, I reckon they'll get it taken off them.
Yeah, but for sure, I think Simon Yates learned from last year. First 2 weeks he went wild, died in the arse in the third week, then went and won the Vuelta. So, what have you got him as down here? You got him in second.
Yates second. I've got Roglic and Yates beating Dumoulin. So, I just haven't seen enough of Dumoulin yet.
Yeah, he's had a pretty quiet year.
And he is someone who doesn't have that turn of foot up a hill. He rides great tempo, but can he go with an attack and be able to peel them back? Who knows? So I've got him in third.
Yeah, I like that. I think you'll be podium.
Yeah.
Team Ineos, the new team, former Team Sky, been copping a bit of flack in the media about their new sponsor, but
ethical issues.
Yeah, a few ethical issues, but you've got to go where the cash is. Unfortunately, it's cycling. You can't really be picking and choosing your sponsors.
Correct.
But they have a new massive budget, so that's good for them. And they debuted their kit at Yorkshire, went pretty well. But an interesting squad now.
No Bernal really just changes the dynamic. They had a clear leader in Bernal, possibly a favourite for the race, even though he's 22, born in 1997.
He was that good last year at the Tour.
Yep.
He's like, this guy can get through 3 weeks.
But now it looks like Eddie Dunbar's got the 171. I don't imagine he's going to be the leader.
No.
I can't see that happening.
I think, Jürgen Hart or Pavel Sivakov. They've also got Ivan Sosa. So they've got a lot of options. So I think they'll probably just play it by ear. But you're a big fan of Jürgen Hart for what he did last week.
Big fan more Tour of California last year.
Yep.
He rode Domestique for Egan Bernal. And he was, I think they finished both top three.
Yep.
With obviously Bernal winning. So I've been a fan from then and watching him. And last week he was better than Sivakov. But Sivakov, obviously, time worked out in his favour. But interested over 3 weeks. But they're a strong team. And they have, Team Sky have dominated being able to ride tempo, and I wouldn't be surprised if these guys can ride for 3 weeks.
And then Trek to wrap things up. I don't know. I put this team not quite as bad as CCC, but they just, I don't know. They just have kind of bits and pieces. It never looks like there's actual structure behind it.
They've got to stop going all in for Bok Mollema, don't they?
Is he in your top 20 there?
You got to mention, unlike some of the other people, but no, He's down the bottom.
Ciccone maybe for a stage.
Yes.
One here a couple of years ago as a real young pup.
Brambilla as well is one of those riders that can pop up for a stage.
The big horse to put himself in a breakaway.
Yeah.
And that'll probably be it for them.
It's just not an exciting team.
I reckon there'll be teams with their second and third riders beating their one rider.
I concur.
So Mollema will do something at some point.
It was Mollema at.
He's come top 3 in a tour, hasn't he? He come third, I reckon.
Don't know. It'd be interesting to check that up, Alex, if you get a chance. But I think maybe a 4th is his best in a grand tour.
Might have got me in a technicality there.
Maybe. Or maybe he was a 4th and then a Contador or someone got DQ'd and he moved up.
Could have been that.
Was it Amstel where Mollema was solo? He was like Simone Clark was in the mix and Mollema was there too.
I just don't get excited by him.
Anyway, that's it.
He is the definition of no X factor. I hope he's not listening.
See, you've put together a top 10 for us, Max.
I have.
Do you want to run us through it?
I have. I've got Roglic, Yates, and Dumoulin. Sorry to go against what everyone else is thinking, but that pretty much is what is going to be the top 3, we all think.
Yeah, I agree. I like that.
And then Nibali around the marks with the Bora rider Formolo to round out the top 5. And then Gegenhardt, Sivakov, Lopez, Lander, and Jungles.
The only one I'd probably disagree with there is I'd push Lopez up. I'd push him up.
And probably get rid of the 2 Team Ineos riders.
Maybe. I don't know. I just feel like Lopez has proven himself over 3 weeks to be around the podium.
Well, I just don't know. I've got the whole Astana team down here
That's
as potential top 30 riders.
Yeah.
And that's that kind of team that you see, like, they can rip a stage apart if they want to. If they go, oh, geez, we're minute 30 off the mark at stage 16, they can go, we can
go wild.
We can end people's tour today.
Yeah. But I do agree. I think Lopez is potentially, with Yates, the best climbers.
Yeah.
But Lopez can have bad days.
Yeah, he can.
I don't know who he's going to push off, but I just think Viviani's going to be on the podium.
What do you mean?
Just
Viviani.
Not Viviani. Vincenzo.
Vincenzo,
not
You'd
Viviani.
have to be in the break every day.
I think Vincenzo's going to be on the podium. I think just, I don't know, he'd be that hungry for maybe
there'll be a rainy descent that he will just attack and...
Yep. Somewhere in the 3rd week, he'll rip it up.
Yeah.
And always goes well in the 3rd week, always builds his form. So I like that one, Alex, but I also like...
But yeah, as I said, I don't know who he's going to push off the podium. So,
Well, it's if Yates can't get through 3 weeks, if Roglic can't go with the climbers, and it's if Dumoulin's not going well. That'd be the 3 excuses for those 3.
Yeah, I agree.
But Lopez could win it as well. You've got me doubting now. It's a strong
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
But it's exciting.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking forward to it. Best Grand Tour of the year, and starts on Saturday night.
Yeah.
I'm amazed how many climbers are there. Going to be genuine fight for top 10.
Yeah.
We might have a clear top 5. We've all said 5 names that we think are going to be there, but from then on...
I think we said a lot of guys will be around that 5 to 10, so that'll probably be the exciting battle there.
Which doesn't normally get too much telecast.
Nah, we'll talk about it though.
Yeah, it'll be mentioned. How have you been going?
Not too bad. We've
on the other changing professional sports.
We've been losing. We're 2-5 going into Gold Coast this week. So I mean, when you're 1-5, you can look at it all different ways. And we, lucky enough, had a 10-day break, which was handy because we were able to reset. And the game against Hawthorn, although it wasn't pretty, we went into that game thinking we're 0-0, which is a hard mindset to make sure you have because you can say that and still know you're 1-5. But the way the coaches and the leadership group and the players really brought into a fresh start, there was a bit of positivity around there out there on game day, and we got to keep winning now. To play finals or to be there towards the end of the year or to even have just a reasonable, successful year, we've probably got to get to even by halfway, and that's winning a few games in the next few weeks.
How much effect does that have? Like looking at a few of these teams, like they haven't won much coming into this thing, like versus the teams Starter and Quickstep mainly who have been cleaning up. Like, how much difference does that make in terms of your mentality heading into a race or a game?
The difference with AFL compared to cycling would be the idea is to get better as the year goes on, where cycling, some of the key events are real early on in the year. So, and there's also different tactics on which ones you target for. Like in AFL, you don't target for round 5 and then die away. So the target is always to be performing at the end of the year. So you want to be improving as the year goes on. You need to win more games than what we have in the first 7 weeks to be ultra competitive. So we're behind the 8 ball, but we will improve. So it's just if we can get enough wins to be there at the end of the year.
So the mindset every week, like you just said, is you're 0-0. You can only just...
Well,
a bit of a cliche, just taking it week by week.
Yeah, week by week.
Now we can take in the mindset
game.
we're 1-0.
Yep.
After beating Hawthorn, and Hawthorn has been a bogey team for us, although we did beat them in the semi-final last year. No matter what, if they're last and we're first, or we're last, or the other way around, that game's a very interesting game. Anyone could win it. So Gold Coast the same. They've been playing some really good footy. We're at their home ground. They're fast starters and we're slow starters. So we'd like to turn that around, but we're turning it around against probably one of the better first quarter teams have been this year. So footy's interesting at the moment. I'm struggling in my tips. I'm not getting many right at all.
I don't think many people would.
I'm not sure. Kiss of Death's still somewhere near the top, isn't it? The Herald Sun tipster that tips the incorrect ones. So yeah, it's in a really good state at the moment, footy. Collingwood, Geelong and GWS look like they're ahead of everyone, but like I said, you're not targeting round 7, but you need to win as many as you can.
Do you reckon this weekend you could just tap a few down to Clayton? He's not really performing in my super coach. He's around that 90 odd, so a few more tap downs to him and some clearances will go a long way. He's still getting a lot of footy. He's getting 30 touches
but
every
he's
week.
handballing them, so that's not really in my area. I can't tell him to kick. No, look, Clayton. We're trying a few things with our midfield because we're getting beaten. So if Clayton starts in there, if he goes somewhere else, are we using him as maybe the third midfielder sometimes so we can try and get some of the other guys into the game? That's how good he is. He can play in different positions, but unfortunately, Supercoach sometimes doesn't like people changing positions, and we don't win games off the back of Clayton Oliver scoring 140 in Supercoach. So I will tap it to him when he is the required player to hit it to. But Jake Melksham's doing a good job in there since he's come in. Jack Viney is back this week, I think.
How's he feeling after that hit from Sydney Stack? Is he still winded from it?
It's more mental. I mean, that got more coverage than a bump that I've seen for the 4 or 5 days immediately. And no one was really sending their
well wishes.
Their well wishes to Jack. But yeah, look, it could be just a 1-week injury, which is less than we thought at the first place. And Jack's an amazing healer. Although he has had some bad ones as well. So Nathan Jones is back in the midfield as well. He's been playing on the wing and he's back in the middle as well. So that could explain some of Clayton's poor scores in Supercoach, but he's a tremendous player. So he'll be back.
Is there Velo games for the Giro?
Look into it.
We'll look into it.
Just one
Have
more.
you done a Velo games before?
What's a Velo game?
It's like
It's like
fantasy cycling.
Oh yeah, I'll be interested in that.
All right.
That's where
We'll run another competition. Riley actually cleaned up for the winner of the T-shirt for the Spring Classic. So we'll set up another league. I'll remember to put my team in this time.
It'll save me money
Can you
because when I do my tipping, I like to have something on it. But if it's in fantasy, that's a much easier way to.
Can you do trades, Riley, during the Giro or not? Jeez, that's
right.
Yeah, that's big. That'll be interesting.
Is it a draft? Is it a draft, or can we all have?
No, I think it's just like you just pick your team.
Draft would be interesting.
Draft would be good.
Imagine if you ended up
just a lot of time and effort though.
Your GC riders Mollema, you'd be disappointed. Damn, I'd pick 10. There is some going back on that team list. There's some underwhelming team leaders in there.
Who stands out as someone that you've just highlighted
Team
there?
Dimension Data, who is a pro team, have Giacomo Nozzola as their team leader. Bob Mollema, Eddie Dunbar.
CCC's leader. I think they're probably... No, I think you know what happens there is they've just gone
trophies.
alphabetical. That's what they've done for now.
Right. Well, they just wouldn't know
Wouldn't.
who is the best rider out of those 8 riders.
It's been an underwhelming merger, that.
It's got to be Lawrence Tendam.
I've
I've played a little bit of... there's a Tour de France Xbox game. And it's really boring. I'll put that out at the start.
Xbox 360.
Xbox 360.
Yeah.
But I'm a fan of the game. And when you start, you have a very low budget. So you actually do it as a Pro Tour team, and you start with a really low budget. You get some really poor GC riders. Lawrence Tendam was my rider for about 3 or 4 years because I couldn't afford anything else.
So it's like career mode on FIFA.
Yeah, and when you play Xbox, you want to be playing well, and that keeps you interested. I was finishing like 28th in Grand Tours of Lawrence Tendam. We were all in for him, but we just couldn't get it done.
So you got a little bit of a soft spot for Tendam.
Yeah, I do.
You've ridden the waves with him.
He's all I could afford, and we got a 28th on a tour one year, and we lost a bit of money that year.
I was probably about around the mark too of how this year could pan out if things go right for him.
Top 30.
Top 30 would be good for.
Team East End Wine Bar we were.
Nice. How is that? How is the business in the wine bar?
It's good.
Yeah?
It's good. Good enough to sponsor an Xbox team, a mediocre Xbox team. No, look, I've delved into the hospitality scene. I like it. I enjoy it. I don't have too much to do at the moment because I'm not there and I'm playing footy, and alcohol doesn't really go hand in hand with performance on the football field. So I'm biding my time till maybe September, October, November, those sort of months where you can potentially have a couple of reds.
wines.
Not September. But yeah, so hopefully I can maybe get behind the bar and work a couple of shifts.
Yeah. Nice.
How much time are you putting into it? Like now?
Early on, it's very hands-on. Obviously choosing what goes where and what design you want to run with, and some of the cash flow with builders and whatnot, it can be quite interesting. And but now it's up and running. My job is literally done. I can do a bit of promo work and stuff like that. I've got a postcards episode coming up with Beck Judd, which would be good. And yeah, so I just sit back and maybe look for another opportunity and potentially grow the business.
Nice.
Anything else?
Not much. I'm excited for the Giro. I'll pick and choose which ones I stay up for and which ones I record. I tend to watch all of them no matter what the next morning. So it can be a last 50k type setup, but it'll be somewhere you have to watch probably the whole way throughout.
Thanks, Max. Thanks for coming in again. We'll sure we'll check in soon. Thanks, Campbell. Thanks to Matt for having us. We're actually at Map HQ, so if you haven't already, check out their store at 20 Vale Street. We'll see you back at the Social Club next time.
Maillot Gawn.
Maillot Gawn.